From refusing to play till he was traded to getting injured at the worst possible time, there are a lot of reasons people hate Ben Simmons. But are they valid? Maybe. Still, Ben deserves more recognition.
In early offense, though, are the things you look for in the preseason.
Oh, Simmons over his head to Claxton for the flush.
This guy somehow went from the #1 pick to the most hated basketball player in existence. I mean, sure, most basketball fans had a reason to hate him, but still, are we really just forgetting his glory days? Those times he actually played well. It's time he brought those days back, and the Brooklyn Nets are giving him the perfect platform for that. The offseason was intense, to say the least. All those trade requests and internal conflicts surrounding the team, well, people weren't exactly sure how they'd fare in the 2023 season. But the moment of truth is now, and to be honest, they seem to be doing good enough. They have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and, yep, you guessed it, Ben Simmons. And I know you probably hate this guy, but before you come at me, let me explain what I mean.
Claxton said no. Irving, great look. Simmons, the flush in transition.
You can understand why fans in Philadelphia are very excited about what this group can do this season.
We all know Ben Simmons isn't great at shooting. Okay, he absolutely sucks at it, and sure enough, he has a lot of shortcomings. But what else are teammates for but to cover your weaknesses? He's good at other things, and best of all, his strengths mesh perfectly with the other Nets players. I mean, even Steve Nash, the head coach of the Nets, had the same idea.
This is a process for Ben. I've said it a lot. You guys have heard me say it, that he's shown obviously glimpses of the player we know he is and can be, but it's not easy. We're here to support him.
As he said, Ben is good at a lot of things that are useful on the court. Shooting? Just isn't one of them. But still, he's a great player. And that's saying a lot if you don't have your shooting skills to fall back on. And as Steve said, if Ben manages to get better at shooting, that's well and all, but that wasn't why the Nets traded for him. Even without that particular skill set, he has a lot of potential. There is a reason that after everything that happened, he was still the top Australian player.
Miss. And Derek White could not hit. And the other way, Claxton flies and puts it in. Pretty play by Claxton.
Ben can affect the game in many different ways, and Steve is more focused on bringing this to fruition. Rather than obsessing over his lack of shooting skills like the rest of you, I know we've all noticed the positionless style of play that's so in these days. And Simmons, he's one of the most versatile players out there. If the Nets are going to adopt this style of play, then having Ben on their team would be a deadly weapon. I mean, you have to admit, the way he goes from point guard to center without losing focus is quite impressive. But when all is said and done, it all comes back to the last year or two, doesn't it? And yes, I admit what he did was bad, and I can understand why so much of the basketball community hates him.
Regardless of the situation and, things, whatever happened. But, I got a lot of love for that city, so, I look forward to going down there and playing.
And of course, the skepticism of how exactly he will be useful is well-founded after these 2 years. But Ben still hasn't reached his full potential. He's only 26. He's got a long way to go before his career comes to an end. All the time in the world to make that perfect comeback that'll leave the world hanging. And you know what? He can probably make it. Remember when there were people talking about how overrated Ben was rather than underrated? Well, there was a reason for it.
Handler got a piece of that second try by Looney. Good pass. Embiid on that first drive. Good luck. Butler slams.
You're going to just try and find your way to continue to get back to it.
He was top in the league in passes during his 2017-18 rookie season, and even after that, he did great up until 2021, that is. But hey, before that, he was second for assists, leading to three-pointers. He had 996, by the way, which is a lot. Even now, when he has a long way to go, Ben is one of the most destructive players in the NBA, if used right, that is. But lucky for Simmons, the Nets might be the perfect team for him. Ben is truly versatile when it comes to lineup and matchup. I mean, he can easily pull off what most NBA players can only imagine. The guy could probably reach triple-doubles with his eyes closed, not to mention that his goals next season as a starting point for Brooklyn will be simple thanks to his first-class playmaking and teammates good at offense. He just needs to give a strong defensive performance and make opportunities for others to score. Now, this isn't something that'd be particularly difficult for Simmons. He used to lead the league in passes in his rookie season, and between that season and 2020-21, he was second for assists.
Anthony Melton in the lineup is not a coincidence.
Oh, nice feed from Simmons to Claxton.
Has the ball. I think the issue is when Ben doesn't, and he's a great distributor, as we see there.
The Nets have got their fair share of talented shooters like Seth Curry, Irving, and Durant. This is the perfect environment for Ben to shine since he can focus on doing what he does best, going downhill and attacking the paint. But what about all his weaknesses and shortcomings? Well, Brooklyn's circumstances seem to suit him a lot more and will help him perform at his best. In a way, that just wasn't possible with the 76ers. The Nets' main offense is made up of Irving and Durant, but bringing Ben into the fray can help them by lightening some of the load on them. At the end of the day, right now the Nets need Ben, and Ben needs the Nets.
Simmons, take a little hook shot, can't get it to go. Claxton finds Simmons cutting, and he will dump that one in.
Well, as good a player as Ben is, it doesn't mean that he doesn't need to improve. In fact, former basketball player Kenny Smith has some advice for Ben on how he can enhance his performance.
All he has to do is watch Russell Westbrook.
Oh, Lord.
Because what happens is they back off you. So now if he watches Russell Westbrook in the role that he has now become, he scores the same way.
The need for Ben to rise up and pull his weight arose after Durant got an injury to his right knee. Now, the fans and the team want more from him than just his current average of 7.5 ppg. Luckily, this doesn't seem impossible. According to Kenny, Ben needs to take a page from Russell Westbrook's book. He explained that players back off Ben the same way they do Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook can't quick to the basket. Looking for 31. Does it with a double.
Now, the way Westbrook deals with that is that he doesn't walk into it. Rather, he uses his size and charges at them full speed. Kenny said that if Ben studies Russell's role and matches the way he scores, passes, and gets into the lane, then he can improve by leaps and bounds. Now, Kenny may have a point, since Ben and Russell are comparatively smaller in their value as offensive players. But it does seem like a bit of an oversimplification. The most glaring problem with this statement is that Russell is absolutely confident in his ability on the court. Ben, on the other hand, is lacking in that department. Well, you can't blame him. What with his disappointing campaign against the Atlanta Hawks.
Simmons, they cleared out for him. Tapping his way in. Spins on Gallinari. Gives it up. Oh, he was right there. And a foul as Thibault goes to the basket.
The fans' general disapproval of him and his injury, things really haven't been going his way recently. Still, if he can learn a thing or two from watching Russell, then he should definitely go for it. Now, for the Nets, simply recruiting Ben won't put them in the championship window, but his biggest impact on the team may actually be without the ball in his hands. On the court, he's their best and most flexible defender. The Nets were ranked 20th in defensive efficiency last season. Their weak defense was glaringly evident in their defeat against the Boston Celtics, when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown absolutely wrecked their defense. Ben might turn out to be just what they needed.
And the other way comes Smart, and scooping it over and down low for Williams. Smart in the corner, White three.
The expectations for the Aussie might be non-existent currently, but the stage has been set. All that's left for him now is to make a comeback and shock everyone, even, no, especially his biggest critics. This is all for why I think Ben Simmons is so underrated. We'll see you guys in the next one.